Good morning, everybody. I think I'm going to steal. Paul left me 30 seconds extra, so I'm very grateful for that. I want to bring you through in the next 10 minutes three key questions. How far have we progressed? Where are we now? And where do we go from here? So bear with me, and I'll try and do a quick recap. How far have we progressed since February 2023, when the Shannon and Dáil passed resolutions establishing the Citizens' Assembly? Very quickly after that, you'll have seen this before, 20,000 households across the country were randomly invited, or randomly selected and received letters of invitation, including your own households. And you can see the distribution right across every nook and cranny of the country. Following which, 1,500 people, including yourselves, registered your interest to apply. We ended up with 99 members selected through a random stratified selection process. What does that mean? It means that we ensured representativeness of the 99 members of yourselves being representative of wider Irish society. If you look at these three key measures, where you're from in the country, we had a target, as you can see, of corresponding to the CSO population profile, and we exactly achieved that target. So the room is geographically as representative as possible of the wider Irish population. Gender-wise also, we had a target according to the CSO stats. That's what we should have had, and that's what we achieved. So again, an almost precise match in terms of the profile of the room and gender-wise. And likewise with age, we had a target for age group, and we achieved that perfectly as well. So look, on those three key measures, the room is entirely representative of the wider Irish society. But of course, what's the diversity in the room? As you can recall, back in the last day, this was the very first group photo we had. At that stage, you didn't know each other, and you've gotten to know each other very well in the meantime. So you understand exactly what diversity is in the room.
What a good-looking bunch.
We did, especially the two at the back there, Paul. The questions we asked you at the very beginning gave us a little insight, a snapshot into where you're coming from, what were your motivations for joining the Assembly. This is what we found out. A number of you, a significant number, have been personally impacted by drug use. More of you have had close friends and family members impacted by drugs. More of you live in communities impacted by drugs. And more of you, again, or some of you at least, work in a professional or voluntary capacity in drugs-related areas. So there's a wide range of different perspectives in the room. You know that now from your roundtable discussions and getting to know the other 98 members of the Assembly. You know the diversity that's in the room. One thing you all have in common is that you all believe it's important that people's voices are heard in policy making. That was a consistent theme right across the thing. And practically everybody also agrees citizens' assemblies are a successful way of dealing with issues facing Irish society. So those are the kind of motivating factors that explain just how diverse you are as a group of people. But what about the inputs that you've heard, as Paul said, over 50 hours of presentations? There's been more than 120 speakers and panellists, including over 40 inputs by academics, researchers and policy experts. So no shortage of expertise being put into the equation. No shortage either of lived experience, and at least 25 individuals with lived experience that they've spoken about, plus your visits to Coolmine and Merchants Quay, where you met service users in those centres as well. And of course, there's been about 40 inputs from community voluntary and statutory service providers as well. So a great diversity of inputs. And on top of that, almost 800 submissions, as we explained the last week, from a wide range of stakeholders and the general public. So no shortage of diverse perspectives. The work programme that we agreed at the very outset is the work programme that breaks down the terms of reference into a series of agendas for each meeting. And looking back over it last night, I can safely say that we have literally covered every single issue that's listed there. I mean, obviously that's illegible, but you know and have access to the work programme. You'll have seen it at the very beginning. And we have covered the work programme completely in the course of the 5 meetings that we'll have concluded by the end of this weekend. So from that perspective, I'm very satisfied. It's mission complete in terms of coverage. Now, there are issues that have not been covered. Those were clear at the beginning of the work programme, because there isn't sufficient time to, we could spend another year here discussing all the issues that we might like to speak, but time is against us, and so we are on now to the question of how have we done in covering that. So we have continuous improvement, including the feedback forms you give us at the end of every meeting, and that's been really important to us, and I'll explain why at the moment. We also have regular debriefing meetings after each meeting with the facilitators and with the steering group, And of course, we have an open door policy, so members of the Assembly are getting in touch with us individually on a case-by-case basis whenever you want, and I'd encourage you to continue doing that. So, some key statistics. We circulated these earlier in the week, so hopefully you'll have a chance to get them. But members, by and large, we're scoring here 80, 85, 90% plus. We're talking about A to A plus grade territory in terms of members feeling comfortable giving your opinions at each meeting. Similarly, were you given enough time to share and speak about your experiences? The overwhelming majority consistently are saying yes to that question. But there is a small number of people at each meeting who feel that they don't have enough time to share their experiences and so on. So it's not unanimous, but there's, as I said, an A to A plus rating for each of these metrics. Did you feel listened to when speaking? Again, an overwhelming number of you said yes for each meeting. Were opposing views at your table listened to and considered? Really important in a deliberative democracy process where topics as contentious as drugs policy, where there is such a spectrum of opinion. This is one of the hallmarks of a good deliberative democracy process. And I'm pleased to say you again, or we again, score an 80, 90% plus rating for each meeting. So really positive indicators that things are going very well. The facilitator ensuring everybody had equal opportunity to speak, excellent scores there. I, in fact, could hardly be happier with these type of results. Facilitator remaining neutral and unbiased during discussions, again, excellent scores there. Very happy with that sort of results. Ensuring there was respect for opposing views, almost unanimous agreement every meeting that there was respect at the tables. And that's a credit, obviously, to the facilitating team, but to you yourselves for the levels of maturity and respect that you have brought to the process. So I think, again, I could not be happier with these type of results. Now, fairness and balance in the programme and the materials and the presenters. Again, we're getting very strong results from you, the members, that there was fairness and balance in the presentations made and the support material circulated. And I have to say that, you know, there are critics from the outside looking in and watching the live streaming, and they're only seeing part of the proceedings. They're not witnessing what's going on at the roundtable discussions, and they're not privy to the kind of conversations that you're having. As Paul said, a cumulative 180 hours of roundtable discussions where diverse views and perspectives are shared and discussed and debated at times. So the quality, your view, which is the one that matters about the quality of this process and the fairness and balance of this process, is a ringing, I think, endorsement by and large in a very complex area. We're getting the balance right. Similarly, the range of perspectives, meeting a fair and balanced programme. Again, your overwhelming sense is that, yes, there has been fairness and balance, and that's been one of our primary objectives as a secretariat throughout this process, is to achieve that fairness and balance. That's not to say everything is rosy in the garden. We are always pressed for time, including myself right now. There's never enough time.
2 minutes.
2 minutes, thanks, Paul. So time is always an issue, but look, we've worked really hard, you've worked diligently and focused, and we've done the best with the time we have. Would you recommend it to a family or friend? Absolutely overwhelming endorsement that most of you would recommend this process to families and friends. And you've always looked forward, almost unanimously looked forward to the next meeting, and I hope that remains the case after today, after this weekend. So where do we go from here? The workshop and legal frameworks, that's the last meeting, the Sunday. We circulated a paper in advance. It was a high-risk strategy because we could run the risk of being accused of sort of not giving fair credit to everything. Really delighted to say all of you, almost without exception, found that the reading material was fair and balanced, and that the range of speakers was fair and balanced. So look, that is a really reassuring indication that we got the right approach last Sunday for the discussion on legal frameworks. I'm proposing that I'm going to provide you an updated paper which takes the feedback that you gave us at the end of that workshop session and uses that feedback to update the document, and we'll circulate you an updated document ahead of the next meeting. So where do we go from here? 1 minute. Yeah. Towards balloting, we're going to circulate an information note. We did circulate that information note earlier in the week. By the 12th of October, we're going to circulate initial draft ballot papers for you to provide feedback on. This is the point where, if you like, the steering group now recedes in terms of its role, and we start engaging with each of you, each of the 99 of you directly, to give us feedback on the draft ballot paper. So we'd like that feedback by the 17th of October, at which point we'll circulate that information note on legal frameworks. And we will also provide additional information on the members' area for a couple of different topics that haven't been sufficiently covered. And finally, on the 21st of October, which is the Saturday of the last meeting, we will come into this room and you will take control of the drafting and finalisation of the ballot papers. So before any vote on questions is achieved, you will spend as much time as you need drafting and voting and agreeing on what the final wording of the ballot paper is. It is the most amazing part of the Citizens' Assembly process. I see Caroline, who was here with us last year, nodding. It is a remarkable exercise in democracy. You will be in control. We'll be at your beck and call to finalise the questions, and then on the Sunday you'll go ahead and vote and cast your votes, and that will determine the results and the recommendations of the Assembly. I'm going to wrap it up there, and we'll give you more information, as and when you need it. Thank you.
Thank you very much.